So how would you go about sharing the good news with folks strung out on meth?
Emails. Kindly send your emails with questions, comments, conundrums, or snarks to idea@wretched.org.
This one comes from Nathan, who says, Mr. Sir Friel, I live with drug dealers surrounding 3 sides of my home, so there's always a ton of traffic by vehicle and on foot.
I bet there is.
It's obviously a great place to share the gospel. So how would you go about sharing the good news with folks strung out on meth?
Well, I'm not sure that it's really a great idea to witness with people who are strung out on meth. There could be a component of casting pearls before swine. There could also be the issue of they're not going to get it. Now, we recognize God can cut through any fog and get there, but just consider where you're utilizing your energies and your efforts. Is that the best place to do that? And the issue of safety certainly has to be brought into view. Clearly, you are like Kenny Loggins in the danger zone. Be careful. Consider long and hard what the risks are. It doesn't mean that Christians never do anything risky, but they should be calculated. They should be smart. And if you put yourself into a situation where it could very possibly end up with you getting hurt, especially if you're a father and a husband, I would suggest you go find some unbelievers who are perhaps sober in another location. And maybe, just maybe, you'll bump into one of those people when they don't have a needle in their arm and you can share the gospel with them. That's my take on it. I think you just need to be smart and wise. I think men, especially young men, are still inclined to do risky things. And as soon as you get married, that just got to stop. This goes, wow, I'm having a flashback inside of my flashback. This has to be 30 years ago. I was doing morning sidekick stuff at the Top 40 station in Minneapolis, and I would do the man on the street stuff. I was Jesse Waters, basically. And they would have me doing stuff, whatever. And I remember it was just the most insane things, like window washing on the side of a building that's really tall. I did it. Put the heart. Yeah, fine. What do I do? Kind of bounce and pull the thing. Okay, sounds good. Let's go wash some windows while I'm on the radio doing that. Didn't bother me a bit. Second I got married, bye-bye window washing escapades. Bye-bye sky jumping, skydiving, with all due respect to Tim McGraw. I think those things, for the sake of your family, maybe put them behind you. And please send emails to idea@wretched.org. But Jimmy, before you jump in again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how Karen was that response? And I don't mean CARIN apostrophe.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, I don't think so.
That we should put dangerous things behind us?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I don't think that was a Karen response at all. I think that was a wise response.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I've never heard you say that before.
Yeah. Here. You have your moments.
Did we record this? Because I'd like to play this back and just loop it, if you don't mind. Please send emails, idea@wretched.org.
This one comes from Kay, who says, Todd, is it a sin to lie to someone in order to surprise them, like birthdays or a proposal?
I understand that question, and I truly do. But I think lying has a component that's baked into it that a surprise party doesn't. It's a desire to intentionally deceive for the sake of self-profit. That's why we lie. We want to protect ourselves. We want to get something, so we lie about it. We intentionally deceive somebody in order to be more successful in some way. I don't think... what are we doing tonight for dinner? I don't know, dear. Just don't look behind that door right over there. I don't think that it has that component, so I don't think it's lying. I think this is maybe a cousin to the age-old question, well, what about if the Nazis are at the door and they ask, are there Jewish people in the attic? I think it is an unjust question. And I think that knowing that they intend harm to those people, you're not lying by saying, nope, maybe check next door. We're good here. Because it's an unjust question. I think that's what we see with the midwives in Egypt. I think that's what we see with Rahab. And so related to that, when it comes to a surprise party or you want to plan a surprise vacation or whatever it is, I don't think that you're intending to deceive so that you can look spanky. So I think it's okay. But I know where that question comes from, and it raises an interesting ponderance. Because I remember some of those things that were really, when I was a younger believer, would really cause me to think long, and it's like, yikes, and get caught up in, I don't want to be sinning by lying because of a surprise party. But I think that maybe at the time I was just a little bit too scrupulous. And with some age, I think you start to see some of these things. It's like, yeah, I understand where that comes from, but no, I don't think that's what's going on there. So you got to watch, though, that something you used to think is a sin isn't a sin now. You got to really make sure it isn't, so that you aren't using the banner of spiritual maturity to sin. So finding that zone, that's one. It's biblical that you do indeed mature and grow. I think that's something that we see in 1 Corinthians 8 through 10, Romans 14, issues of the conscience. You become more mature. You start to understand things a little bit better. But we got to be careful that we don't fall into this current trend, and it is a trend that the spiritually mature can handle things. What we watch, what we say, what we drink, what we smoke, how many pictures of it we put on the internet. It's okay, though. We're mature believers, and if you can't keep up with this, it's because you're immature. Sorry. We never use liberty for boasting, for bragging, for putting it out there to show how we're just celebrating our liberty. Liberty is something that needs to be done mostly privately. And incidentally, you can actually appreciate your liberty more by sometimes not exercising it for the sake of others. Please send questions, comments, conundrums, or snarks to idea@wretched.org.
Okay, this one comes from Jimmy, who says, yo, hey, Mr. Todd.
So it is you.
No, it wasn't. No relation.
Okay.
He said he was just wondering if living for, I know this is going to sound like me, but it's not. He was wondering if living for the weekend is good or bad. Because I really think I'm metaphorically doing that.
I think if it had been from you, it'd be like, so how can I leave early for the weekend? That would be close. Then I would know that you're up to shenanigans. I don't think that working for the weekend, with all due respect to Loverboy, everybody's working. Was that Loverboy, I think? Was that like...
what's his face?
Snapgun or whatever their name was. Everybody needs a second chance. And the hump day thing, I don't think it's not a sin. I get it. There can be some weeks where it's like, oh, I'm glad it's the weekend. I could use a little break. I get that. But the attitude of Christian toward work shouldn't be, I'm just slugging through this thing. It's so tedious. It's so backbreaking. I just want to get to the weekend. I don't think that it has the right perspective of work, the sentiment that's behind that. Work is a good thing. And even when you are doing something that does it, let's just say it is mundane. It isn't glamorous. If you're doing it for the Lord, it has eternal value. And that is what will adjust your perspective. And if, by the way, you are in a position where you just long for the weekend, I think you should first work on your understanding of the work. You are rendering labor to the Lord, not to the people that you work for. Yeah, you're helping them. Yes, we get that. But ultimately, you are doing it unto the Lord. I would start with that adjustment, recognizing, and if you have the opportunity to find a job that fills and satisfies your heart's desire, it ain't a sin to go pursuing that. You most certainly can look for a job that makes you happier. If God gives it to you, then he wants you there. And if he doesn't, then he wants you doing the mundane thing, but he wants you to do it in a way that is pleasing to him because of your attitude. And I just don't think working for the weekend is exactly the consistent attitude that a Christian should have. I'm thinking it wasn't the police that did the everybody's working, but
Yeah, I don't know.
You've got a computer, man. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, can I tell you, and I'll try to avoid this too. If you and I are ever together and we're talking about everybody's working for the weekend. Oh, who sang that? Hold on. I'll look for you. Don't do that. Okay, just don't. We don't care that much. And I just find it, and I've done it, but I just find it a little agitating. Like, okay, right here. Look in my eyes. Look, you don't need to run to the... You know what happened to me the other night, Jimmy? I actually left my cell phone at work.
You did?
I did. And you know how I felt that night, being separated from my electronic device?
Fantastic.
Oh, wow.
It was Loverboy.
So you did the very thing I just asked you not to do.
But you told me to do it.
Social distraction. I'm telling you, the pull. And when I see people driving and they've got their look, I know what you're doing. I know why you're swerving. Sure enough, because I pull up next to you to look over and yep, your eyes are darting down back and forth. Don't do that. Instead, send emails to idea@wretched.org. This is Wretched Radio. You're just watching a one segment from the 4 segments that we do every single day on Wretched Radio. If you'd like to watch the whole shebang, you can do so at wretched.org. Hey, I'm Todd. I'm going to be your Uber driver. What's your destination?
2054 Kemple Lane.
No. Your eternal destination. The liberals, they brought in Pelagianism. It's the old Sabellian heresy, denying the Trinitarian Godhead. 3 persons, 1 God, not to the Sabellians. No. They would say that it's actually just 1 God. Please, somebody!